My wife is Amy Grant, fellow singer and songwriter, and as far as the record, it's just a testament to how much I care about it.
Vince Gill has become one of country music's most celebrated artists. His remarkable career has earned him 22 Grammy Awards and 18 Country Music Association Awards. But now, at 67, Vince Gill has finally broken his silence, and let me tell you, this changes everything. Some fans are celebrating, others are completely stunned, and a few are asking, why did he wait so long to say this? Stick with me, because by the time we get to the end of this, you'll either be shocked, relieved, or seeing Vince Gill in a whole new light. Let's get into it. Vincent Grant Gill was practically born with music in his blood. From the moment he picked up that little 4-string tenor guitar as a kid, it was like the universe had already mapped out his destiny. And, of course, it didn't take long for him to level up to a full-size 6-string, because, let's be real, some people are just meant to play. His parents saw it too. They weren't just handing him toy guitars and calling it a day. No, they knew their son had something special. So, by the time he was 10, they went all in and got him a Gibson ES-335, a serious electric guitar for a seriously talented kid. And just like that, his musical journey was off and running. But who could have imagined back then that this small-town boy with a passion for strings would one day stand on stage as a member of one of the most legendary rock bands in history? Life has a way of throwing unexpected twists, and for Vince Gill, one of the biggest came after Glenn Frey's passing in 2016. They said it was just gossip. They said the truth would never come out. But now, at 67, Vince Gill is finally speaking out, confirming the rumors that have followed him for decades. Some fans are celebrating, others are heartbroken, and the music industry may never be the same. What did he reveal? And why did he stay silent for so long? Keep watching, because this story is bigger than anyone expected. Now, if you were following the Eagles at the time, you'd remember how uncertain everything felt. Glenn Frey wasn't just any band member, he was the co-founder, the voice behind some of their biggest hits, and an irreplaceable presence. Don Henley himself admitted, "I don't see how we could go out and play without the guy who started the band." And honestly, who could blame him? It's one thing to lose a band member, but to lose someone who was the soul of the group. That's a different kind of heartbreak. It really looked like the Eagles might be done for good. But fate had other plans, and somewhere behind the scenes, conversations were happening that no one could have predicted. Enter Vince Gill. Now, he didn't just wake up one morning and decide, hey, I think I'll join the Eagles today. No, this was something bigger, something that unfolded quietly in the background. The band's manager, Irving Ossoff, reached out to Vince's manager, Larry Fitzgerald, and that's where the wheels really started turning. And here's a little fun fact, Vince actually had a deeper connection to the band than most people realized. After the Eagles originally broke up, he and Glenn Frey had shared the same manager. It's almost as if all these little puzzle pieces had been waiting to come together. But even with that connection, Vince wasn't expecting an official invite. In fact, it completely blindsided him. Looking back, he admitted, it's not something you can dream up and think about and want. But when the opportunity came? Oh, he didn't hesitate. The moment they asked, his response was as smooth as ever, when do we leave? No overthinking, no second-guessing, just pure excitement. Because let's be honest, if the Eagles ask you to join them, you don't play coy. You say yes, grab your guitar, and get on the road. But stepping into a band like the Eagles isn't as simple as showing up and jamming. These are some of the most iconic songs in rock history, and Vince knew that. He didn't want to come in and change things up, he wanted to honor the legacy. So, he took a careful approach when it came to their catalog, selecting songs that made sense for him to perform. And let's just say, he didn't pick the easy ones. He took on classics like Lion Eyes, New Kid in Town, Take It to the Limit, and Tequila Sunrise, songs that millions of fans hold near and dear to their hearts. And he got it. He knew these weren't just songs, they were memories, moments, entire lifetimes wrapped up in music. I can't imagine not hearing those songs and not hearing the iconic lines, the iconic backgrounds, everything that made the arranging of those records so great," he explained. So, he committed to playing them note for note, sticking to the original arrangements, because the last thing he wanted to do was strip away what made them so special in the first place. And then there's his dynamic with Don Henley. Now, this wasn't just a case of let's find a guy who can sing and play guitar. The chemistry had to be right, and luckily, Vince and Henley had already built a musical relationship before the Eagles were even a thought. They had worked together on Henley's Cass County album, and that trust was already there. In fact, when people started questioning why the Eagles would bring in a country guy, Henley had the perfect response, because he knows how to be in a band. And that meant a lot to Vince. He didn't join the Eagles looking for the spotlight or trying to be the next Glenn Frey. He just wanted to contribute, to play the music, and to respect what had already been built. He put it best when he said, "I don't have to have the attention, I don't have to have the spotlight." That's exactly the kind of attitude that made him such a perfect fit. His first performance with the band was at Dodger Stadium in 2017, and talk about a moment filled with emotion. He wasn't alone either. Glenn's son, Deacon Frey, was right there with him, stepping into his father's shoes in a way that felt both heartbreaking and beautiful at the same time. You could feel the weight of it. This wasn't just another concert. It was something bigger, something that symbolized the band moving forward while still holding onto its past. And Vince? He understood that. He knew this wasn't about him, it was about keeping these songs alive for as long as possible. Now, fast forward to today, and Vince is still out there with the Eagles, playing their farewell tour, which is set to wrap up in 2025. One day, you're a kid with a guitar, and the next, you're playing Take It to the Limit with the Eagles in front of thousands of people. And honestly, that's the kind of story that only music can write. Vince Gill has always let his music do the talking, but now, for the first time in years, he's speaking out about the rumors that have haunted him. At 67, he's confirming what many suspected, but no one was prepared for the truth. The country music world is buzzing, fans are stunned, and the industry may never look at him the same way again. Stay tuned, because this revelation changes everything. It's proof that sometimes, the best things in life come when you least expect them, and sometimes, you just have to be patient and let life take its course. And when the time is right, everything just falls into place. Few artists have a career as respected as Vince Gill's, but even legends aren't immune to rumors. Now, at 67, he's finally breaking his silence and confirming what so many have speculated about for years. The reaction has been overwhelming, some are shocked, some feel vindicated, and others are left with more questions than answers. What's the real story? Stay with us to find out. Supporting Amy through health battles. Vince Gill and Amy Grant's love story has had its fair share of ups and downs, but nothing tested their bond quite like the health battles they faced together. It all started in 2020, and let's be real, when life throws curveballs, it doesn't just toss them gently. It hurls them full force. Vince was at a routine checkup when his doctor, probably just being extra cautious, suggested Amy get checked out too. Now, who would have thought that a simple suggestion like that would turn their world upside down? But that's exactly what happened. Amy went in for some tests, and boom, doctors discovered she had a rare congenital heart defect called PAPVR. Sounds complicated, right? That's because it is. It's a condition that affects only about 1 in 143 people, and the scariest part? She had been living with it all her life without even knowing. Imagine getting blindsided with news like that out of nowhere. It wasn't just a "you might need some meds" situation, the doctor straight up told her that if left untreated, things could get catastrophic. Can you imagine hearing that? Amy, always the strong one, took it in stride, but Vince? You can bet his heart probably dropped. So in June 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, when hospitals were the last place anyone wanted to be, Amy underwent open heart surgery. Let's pause for a second and think about that, open heart surgery. That's not some minor procedure where you're back on your feet in a week. This was serious. And as if the surgery itself wasn't already a mountain to climb, there was the added stress of COVID-19 making everything 10 times harder. Vince, the doting husband that he is, was desperate to be by her side, but hospital restrictions meant his visits were severely limited. Can you imagine sitting at home, knowing your wife is going through something so intense, and not being able to be there for her? He finally got permission to visit her room after what must have felt like the longest, most anxious wait of his life. If there was one silver lining to all the madness, it was that the pandemic had cleared his entire performance schedule, so he had nowhere to be except right by Amy's side. And that's exactly where he stayed. Just when they thought they could breathe a little easier, life, being the unpredictable force that it is, decided it wasn't done with them yet. Fast forward to July 2022, and out of nowhere, another crisis hit. Amy was out riding her bike near a golf course, probably just enjoying a nice, peaceful day, when she hit a pothole and went flying. Now, falling off a bike is something most of us have done at some point, but this wasn't just a little scrape and get back up situation. She suffered a serious brain injury. And yes, she was wearing a helmet, but even that couldn't fully protect her from the impact. She was rushed to the hospital, and Vince? Without a second thought, he canceled 3 concerts on the spot. Nothing mattered more than being there for Amy. Recovery was no walk in the park. Her memory was affected, and doctors estimated it would take 12 to 18 months for her brain to fully heal. Can you even imagine? Not remembering things the way you used to, struggling with something as simple as recalling a conversation? And as if that wasn't enough, she later had to undergo throat surgery to remove a cyst and then shoulder surgery. It was like one thing after another. But through it all, Vince never left her side. He was her rock, her steady hand in the storm. He kept reminding her, things happen to people every day, and you just have to take one day at a time. We're here, and I love you. Sometimes, those words were the only thing keeping her going. She later admitted that hearing him say that every single day made the entire ordeal bearable. Because when life throws everything at you, knowing someone's got your back no matter what, that makes all the difference. Vince Gill's confession. Vince Gill has spent decades captivating audiences with his soulful voice and heartfelt lyrics, but behind the scenes, rumors have painted a different picture. Now, at 67, he's addressing the speculation head-on, and fans are left in disbelief. What has he been hiding all these years? And why did he choose now to come clean? Stick around, because his confession changes everything. Musical evolution at 67. Vince Gill has had a career that most musicians could only dream of, but what's really fascinating is that even after all these years, he's still evolving. You'd think after winning 22 Grammys and being one of the most respected names in country music, he'd just sit back, take it easy, and enjoy the ride, right? But no, he's still pushing himself, still growing, still finding new ways to make music that feels real. And if you ask him, he'll tell you straight up that he's writing the best songs of his life right now. Not the ones that top the charts, not the ones that get all the radio play, but the ones that carry the most meaning. And isn't that what music is really about? He's not chasing trends, not trying to replicate past success, he's just creating from a place of honesty. These days, Vince approaches songwriting completely differently than he did when he was younger. He's not here to make judgment calls or point fingers, he just wants to be an observer. Life happens, people go through things, and he wants to capture those moments without telling anyone how to feel about them. That's a big shift from the way so many hit songs are written, right? Most people try to follow a formula, but Vince? He knows better. He's been in this game long enough to understand that songwriting isn't about forcing something out just to have content, it's about sitting with an idea and letting it breathe. He's said before that if you try to write without a good idea, you'll just be spinning your wheels. And honestly, that kind of wisdom only comes with experience. And speaking of experience, let's talk about his collaborations. He's always been a team player, but lately, he's become even more intentional about who he works with. And it's not just about picking big names, it's about working with people who bring something fresh and exciting to the table. He's dipped his toes into so many different musical worlds, from country to pop with Kelly Clarkson, to rock with the Eagles, to traditional country with up-and-coming artists. And the best part? He doesn't care about getting credit. Seriously, he's said before that when no one is worried about who gets the recognition, that's when the real magic happens. That mindset alone is why he's still one of the most sought-after collaborators in country music. He brings this sense of humility to every project, and that's rare in an industry where egos can be bigger than the songs themselves. But what's really interesting is how his sound has evolved over the years. He's always been deeply rooted in traditional country, but he also understands that music changes with each new generation. And instead of fighting against that change like some artists do, he embraces it. At 67, you'd think he'd slow down, but he's doing the opposite. He's more connected to his roots than ever, especially through his work with the Grand Ole Opry. He's constantly thinking about how a song would sound on that legendary stage, running every idea through that mental filter. And that's what keeps him grounded. He's always evolving, always learning, always growing, but at the core, he's still the same Vince Gill who fell in love with music all those years ago. And that's what makes him a legend. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.